In a viral clip, after she made a foul play, Griner...
And welcome back to the Clark Update. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Today, I've got another exciting and highly interesting video for you, and if you're a true Caitlin Clark fan, you're definitely going to want to watch this one until the very end. Before we get started, let me know you're part of the Clark Update Army by commenting CC 100% below. I love seeing all the amazing Clark fans in the comments. Now, without wasting any more time, let's jump straight into today's video. Seen something so astounding that it completely upended your preconceived notions? What happens when a celebrity says something so outrageous that it ignites the internet and makes fans doubt the game's core principles? One surprising statement from basketball powerhouse and controversial magnate Brittney Griner just ignited the fuse. "I'm an adult male." The internet erupted in an instant. Unfiltered and irrepressible, the reaction was complete chaos. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 90% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So, did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video.
Rather controversial. It might be, though we don't know, trash.
Heated matchup with rookie star Caitlin Clark, who has been shattering attendance records and bringing attention to the WNBA. The moment went viral. Brittney Griner gritted her teeth, locked eyes and dropped the line that sent shockwaves across the internet in that explosive moment. "I'm a grown man," was the single sentence that went viral on Instagram and X. All of a sudden, disputes broke out everywhere, lip readers zoomed in, and algorithms spun. Gender identity and competitive integrity are just two examples of the constant controversy.
White girl. Others have suggested it might be trash and
It wasn't simply a casual jest in the locker room or some small-time trash talk. The sports culture was rocked by this. Fans began asking issues after an old topless photo from Brittney Griner's account was not censored by Instagram's own algorithm. Why was it treated like a male body by the platform's AI? That one mistake ignited a fire. Timelines were suddenly overrun with irrational conjecture. The rumors of hidden identity alterations, intersex problems, and testosterone therapies were spreading like wildfire. What had begun as a viral video had now sparked a whole new
don't know what she's mouthing, but she seems to, have a mouth on.
Fans, commentators, and even competing players are now calling for explanations. Did the WNBA intentionally permit a player with potentially masculine physical characteristics to rule a women's league? Or is this simply the most recent development in Brittney Griner's career, which has been filled with controversy, success, and unreserved audacity? It all started with what ought to have been a simple foul. Standing tall at 6 feet 9 inches, Griner fiercely retaliated both physically and psychologically against a call that obviously touched a chord. Her gaze cut through the arena's cacophony before the cue that rocked the internet appeared. "I'm an adult male." Was it just the swagger of the moment? Something deeper, or just a mental error? A covert admission that nobody anticipated? The video became viral in a matter of minutes. Believing they had stumbled across something greater, they dissected every frame and every expression. Memes proliferated, podcasts produced entire episodes, social media lighted up, and late-night comedians hurried to make gags. Suddenly, the grown guy had become both a movement and a meme, sharply dividing public opinion. While some praised her self-assurance, others charged her with dishonesty. One thing was certain, though, nobody was ignoring it. There is a far larger and messier discussion about biology and sports justice hidden underneath all the commotion. It's not always easy to classify athletic bodies into binary categories. Some people with intersex features have higher testosterone levels by nature. Others blur gender boundaries with their distinct muscular compositions. Hormone therapy is frequently used by trans athletes to align with their identity and adhere to league regulations. However, in the instance of Brittney Griner, there is no formal documentation, no public declarations, and no record of such treatment. There is no sign of a medical transformation, and her past has been kept under wraps. Thus, the questions continue to circulate.
10 points, 5 rebounds. We see the Atlanta Dream as being very... Right now,
Instagram story reappeared. Brittney Griner looked entirely unedited and shirtless in a video that has been available to the public for more than 2 years. Not only is the image startling, But Instagram's AI, which typically blurs or flags female nudity, did nothing at all. Why? Because Griner's body appeared to be recognized as male by the system. This isn't an isolated technical issue. It's a huge warning sign for the sports industry, which is still figuring out how to balance fair play and diversity. For transgender athletes, the WNBA has stringent hormone level standards. However, when it comes to intersex athletes, the code is conspicuously silent. The league has the authority to mandate medical treatment or even deny someone the opportunity to play if their natural hormone levels are higher than the permitted threshold. However, in this instance, there was radio silence, no inquiry, and no comment. The quiet is growing louder. The same difficult questions are beginning to come from club owners, sponsors, and other players. What if Griner was raised as a woman while being physiologically male at birth? Could the league's legitimacy be destroyed by that theory alone? Another possibility is an intersex disorder that would have improved her strength and physical characteristics, such as bone density or muscular mass. The most contentious of them is the theory that Griner may have secretly received testosterone therapy without any fan awareness, league recognition, or public record. Whichever perspective you choose, every hypothesis undermines our preconceived notions about justice, competition, and transparency. It's also obvious that the WNBA cannot afford to remain silent any longer.
Holding.
Fairness is a fundamental idea that forms the basis of women's sports. Fans want to think that the game is truthful, that wins are earned rather than distorted by undetectable physical advantages. Therefore, every statistic, every trophy, and every inspirational storyline could suddenly feel tarnished if the WNBA allowed someone with male biological features to compete without disclosure, whether on purpose or accidentally. There is more than one player involved. It's about having faith in the system. Brittney Griner has experienced controversy before. She was both a symbol of resiliency and a target of criticism due to her capture and incarceration in Russia, the dramatic prisoner swap that brought her home, and the difficulties of reintegrating into American society. She is either a pioneer or a walking paradox, depending on who you ask. People are now demanding the truth on the internet. Some are demanding a thorough inquiry, genetic testing, hormone panels, and general transparency. Others are recommending caution, cautioning that delving too far could breach bodily privacy, transgress ethical boundaries, and lead to discrimination. This is not just a headline. The requirement for respect and the need for equality are at odds. In the meantime, Caitlin Clark's ascent has fueled the flames. The WNBA has changed since her arrival. When she lost time due to an injury, ticket costs for Indiana Fever games fell sharply. Once empty arenas were filled with her star power. Given this, Griner's grievances on the volume of noise at Clark's games come off more as animosity than as concern. As though Griner's once dominant legacy is being drowned out by the applause now aimed at Clark. The league cannot afford to ignore the growing friction between the past and present, between personal identity and policy.
See you guys.
Very important questions there, I'm sure, for
On his podcast, Patrick Bet-David, who is never one to keep back his opinions, attacked Brittney Griner with his signature blend of scathing criticism and sarcasm. He didn't hold back when pointing out the incredible irony that Griner, who was once imprisoned in Russia while the US exchanged an arms dealer for her release, is now whining about loud fans. The jabs continued after that stark difference. He used her famous remark about being able to work courtside during games as a metaphor for how insignificant the WNBA used to feel, where the quiet of deserted arenas reflected the league's battle for attention. However, that time is past. With record-breaking ratings, sponsorship deals, and international headlines, Caitlin Clark arrived like a wrecking ball. However, Griner appears to be opposing the very momentum she helped create rather than embracing the fresh vigor. The racist undertones followed. Long-standing tensions within the league were revealed when Griner implied that the largely white crowd during Clark's games had a hint of racism. Black athletes have dominated the court for years, but they hardly get the same kind of media attention as Clark. Griner's remarks went beyond commentary. They were a flare that revealed more serious issues with recognition, race, and waning fan allegiance. Here's the problem though. In sports, resentment is nothing new. When Detroit devised the Jordan rule specifically to prevent him, Michael Jordan had to deal with it. Serena Williams persevered through decades of hardship to achieve greatness. When excellence emerges, rivalries flourish. Additionally, Clark's fame always attracts criticism. However, Gurrier's answer shows more than just rivalry. Her pride as an athlete and the awkward spotlight she now shares are shown to be at odds with one another. Hostile work environments are a part of the profession in leagues like the NBA, NFL, and MLB. Jeering, booing, crazy chants. All of it is fuel for the fire. Therefore, Gurrier's suggestion that the fans were excessively loud came out as entitlement rather than concern. Pro athletes are compensated to perform under duress. Let's face it. To make noise, fans pay. A boisterous arena is not an assault. It's evidence that everyone is finally paying attention. Additionally, Griner will allow her performance speak louder than the audience if she is genuinely confident in her abilities.
In her abilities. But there's also a little delusion.
WNBA's next course of action. League administrators now have to strike a very careful balance between upholding the integrity of fair play and safeguarding players' right to privacy. One option is to make hormone testing mandatory for everyone. However, this leads to widespread criticism, legal action, and allegations of body policing. Alternatively, they could start a targeted inquiry of Brittney Grinner's qualifications. Something that could appease detractors but would probably incite anger among athletes and erode confidence in the league's management. Everything is beginning to be clouded by this debate. Broadcast networks and major sponsors are already keeping a careful eye on things. Others view it as a ratings goldmine, while others see it as a PR disaster. However, nobody can forecast how this storm will impact broadcast arrangements for the upcoming season or whether corporate partners would remain silent, withdraw, or demand explanations. What about the athletes? Behind the scenes, tensions are subtly increasing. Some are advocating for total disclosure, arguing that both opponents and teammates should be informed if Griner possessed a concealed biological advantage. They worry about being perceived as deceitful or involved. Others, however, are fighting back just as forcefully, cautioning that delving too deeply into an athlete's medical and personal history breaches grave ethical boundaries. The league's
I don't know if that's going to happen.
opinion is completely divided and in full meltdown mode. Supporters on one side uphold Brittney Grinner's autonomy. However, detractors contend that any perceived or actual biological advantage compromises the fairness of women's sports. Social media is a battleground. Millions of votes are cast in polls. Across timelines, hashtags fight each other. Every thread is filled with trolls and caustic memes that contrast with emotional appeals. Nevertheless, the WNBA itself seems oddly silent despite all the commotion. The sound of that silence is getting louder every day. However, there is much more to this debate than simply one player. The league's values, fairness, inclusivity, and competitive integrity are now being put to the test. Everyone is being forced to face difficult issues regarding gender biology and what it really means to compete in women's sports today, from athletes to spectators. The drama continued after the video became viral. The tidal wave began as a result. From coast to coast, it crashed into boardrooms, team meetings, and casual discussions. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion. Conspiracy theories, ethical perspectives, and legal theories all revolved around unflinching, obstinate, and caught in a firestorm the league never anticipated. He was a Griner. It's one thing to deal with a blatant foul on the court. It's a completely different game to navigate an identity crisis with global ramifications. Thousands of comments flooded every major sports outlet. One side yelled, "Protect the girls." The other yelled, "Defend the truth." And the phrase "grown man," which went viral, turned into a lightning rod. It screamed deceit to some. Others saw it as a sign of unadulterated confidence. Major media outlets were unable to resist. Coverage straddled the line between sincere concern and blatant clickbait. Because controversy encourages clicks in today's environment. Additionally, Gurrier's moment was unstoppable. Too volatile to contain, too strong to ignore. The atmosphere inside the WNBA headquarters became chaotic. Executives hurriedly called emergency meetings, reviewed legal memoranda, and drafted press releases. This wasn't an internet rumor that got out of hand. The league was at its most vulnerable when this genuine gender verification issue struck. The WNBA had been proud of its inclusive policies for many years. However, those same principles now felt like a tightrope. How do you uphold inclusivity off the court while safeguarding fairness on it? Every league official was plagued by that question, knowing that the answer would determine the WNBA's future legacy. Sponsors, meanwhile, were unfazed. Like hawks, they kept an eye on everything. Some withdrew their advertising budgets in an effort to stay out of the debate. Others perceived a fantastic opportunity. Clicks, headlines, and engagement are all boosted by scandal, particularly when it involves the hotly debated subject of gender and fairness in sports. Some even prepared social media campaigns in advance, prepared to show support for Brittney Griner in the event that the investigation cleared her. The fact that brand managers were planning like team owners indicated how high the stakes were, even though they never published those pieces. Emotions were running high in the changing rooms. Some teammates unhesitatingly supported Griner, claiming they never noticed anything out of the ordinary. Her body was just the result of top-tier training. Others acknowledged in private that they had always noticed something strange, but they thought it was nothing significant. Some players refused to keep quiet. They demanded complete openness. Before playing with or against Griner on the court, they believed they had a right to know if her biological makeup exceeded any league-defined thresholds. Under strain, team cohesion abruptly started to deteriorate. A league that was founded on sisterhood and trust is now dealing with conflict, uncertainty, and hushed inquiries. Even Caitlin Clark, who was unrelated to the rumors, became entangled in the frenzy. She became an easy target due to her quick ascent to fame, breaking records, and dominating headlines. Her achievement, according to trolls, has created animosity and controversy. Despite being a rookie and bearing the emotional burden of a generation's anger, Clark maintained her composure. Her reply was a succinct, elegant remark that was published online. "I adore this game and all of its players. Let's continue to concentrate on basketball." It was an appeal for harmony, peace, and a return to the sport's prominence. But even her calm comments were lost in the cacophonous din of social media. Already know we're only scraping the surface if you've read this far. Every move the WNBA takes toward openness and fairness will be impacted by players, fans, and everyone brave enough to speak up. Don't watch from the sidelines, then. Participate, demand honesty, pose difficult questions, and above all, stand by the sport that has caught your passion. Please remember to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and leave your opinions in the comment section below if this breakdown helped you see things differently. We would want to know your thoughts on Brittney Griner's predicament and what you think will happen to gender policy in professional sports in the future. Every shot counts in this game, and every opinion has the ability to change the discourse, so your voice matters.